Technology and its use in our homes is another layer to navigate as parents in today's world. Educational author and consultant Carl Hooker led a parent session in our school district to talk about the opportunities and the challenges that come with parenting in the digital age. Prior to the session, I sat down with Carl to talk about his message for parents about this important topic.
So as a parent, what am I looking for in my home to see if I have a problem or to prevent something from becoming a problem around technology?
I think it's about open conversations. So for me, I have 3 little girls at home, and I start with them very early. I mean, since the time they're about 6 years old, we started having conversations about proper use of their devices and when is it appropriate to take a photo of somebody and post it online. Having those conversations with them early is a good thing. And then I think it comes down to just like anything else with your kids, it comes down to behavior. So if you notice specific changes in your child, if something's they seem to be acting a little bit differently, maybe there's something going on online, maybe there's something happening at school, but whatever it is, you need to make sure you have that open communication with them. Because I think too oftentimes as parents, when we see a problem with, say, a cell phone, something happened on a phone, your first instinct is just take it away. It's like, I'm going to take this phone away from you. Well, the message that sends your kid sometimes is like, well, the next time something happens to me, I may not share it with you because I'm afraid you're going to take this away. So you need to be open to having those conversations. There is times, don't get me wrong, when there needs to be a consequence for some actions. And so that may mean taking away a device. But for the most part, I feel like it's most important to keep the communication lines open as a parent in this day and age.
So we seem to be hearing so much about concerns around technology use and the amount that kids are using technology. Is it social media? Is it watching videos? Is it gaming? I mean, what are the technologies that as parents, in our own homes that maybe we want to be paying a little closer attention to? Is that the situation we're in, or?
Yeah, I think screen time's a big one, and that comes up a lot. And I think the question I don't think parents are asking isn't about how much screen time, because I think you could just make a blanket statement about that. I think it's actually what is the quality of the screen time? What are the kids doing with screens? How are they interacting with it? How are you as a parent co-interacting with them? So if you're watching a television show together, I mean, how important is that versus saying, all right, I'm going to put you on the TV and walk away? It's important to continue to have those dialogues. So I think in terms of parenting today, you need to make sure that you're having those conversations around the screen. And honestly, I mean, social media, even though technically students aren't allowed to be on social media accounts until they're 13, I think it's important to lay the groundwork of that conversation when they're 10, 11, 12 years old, just so they know what's appropriate and what to do if they come across something that's inappropriate. How do they handle that interaction with you as a mom or dad?
In all that Carl shared with us during his visit, a consistent theme from him was the concept of balance, finding a healthy balance of technology use and non-technology use with our kids.
So why is it so important for families to try to find a healthy digital balance in today's age and world?
I think that we know that technology is going to be a part of our future no matter what we do. So when I hear the word balance, you mentioned there, I think it's a couple different things. One is, a lot of times people think balance means putting all the technology away. Well, in theory, that actually means that there wouldn't be balance because you'd have no technology at all. So I think when you say the word balance, to me, it means you got to have a little bit of it to make sure kids are learning the proper way to use it. We're teaching them the skills they need early on before they get off and leave our households, go off to college and career. So for me, when you say the word balance, I'm thinking we need to have some technology, but we also need to make sure that kids are aware that there's times to put it away too. And there's times to go outside and play, and there's times to read a book. And I think that's an important thing that we need to teach not only at home, but also at school.
Of course, like everything we do, the Mariemont City School District believes the best way to serve our kids is through strong partnerships with our families. And partnering around the issue of technology is certainly no exception.
So how do you see home and school working together around this issue?
I think it's definitely merged over time. You think about a child who spends pretty much half of their waking time, if not more of that, in our schools. I think it's on us a little bit to make sure that we're laying some of the groundwork of what does good technology use look like. And then in the perfect scenario, a parent is also kind of learning alongside of us and helping kind of support that at home as well. I think there is a healthy balance both at home and at school. So if at school we're really being cognizant of the use of what they're doing with their screens and we're making sure that they're using it for high quality education, but then they go home and they just sit on Netflix for 6 hours, that's not really sending the same message. And to them, they think, okay, is technology entertainment or is it education? It's interesting, in our schools where I worked at, we had iPads, which are largely seen as consumptive entertainment devices. Of course, if you went into the school and saw how it was used, a parent would be surprised to see that how it's being used in interactive educational ways, and creativity is really picked up a lot on it. Versus at home, when they see it, it's more of a kind of a digital pacifier, a digital babysitter, here, get on the device while I finish dinner, things like that. And I think there's times when that's okay. I think the one thing we have to make sure as a society and also as a community, one thing we need to make sure we're doing is not judging everybody. It needs to be kind of a judgment-free zone. Every family is different, every child is different. And so with that, you need to set up different rules for each kid based on how they react and what their behavior is when it comes to technology.
So if you had one message that you would want parents to have about parenting in this digital age, what would that message be?
I would say start sooner rather than later. So if you have elementary age kids, 4 or 5 years old, I think it's a good time to start having those conversations with them. What does it look like? How do you interact with it? Again, you're laying that important groundwork for them of what really good balance is, and you're making it ingrained in them. You don't want to always be chasing them around, telling them to turn everything off. Eventually, you want to get to a point where they are self-monitoring and self-regulating, because again, when they turn 18, hopefully, and things go well, they go off to college and career, they're gonna have to have that groundwork already ahead of them, make sure that they're actually successful in life with it too. So I think it's an important message to start early. And then in terms of resources, I always point to Common Sense Media, which commonsensemedia.org is a great website, and it has great parenting tips. It always kind of gives up-to-date apps in terms of things that are happening on social media that you need to be aware of. So for me, that's my go-to resource. I look at it just about every week.
For more information and resources, visit MariemontSchools.org and check out the Growing Up Digital page within the technology section of our website.